7, so let me start the webinar here and I'll also go live. Oh, it seems to be something with YouTube. Anyways, let us just start.
Mhm.
So thank you for joining. Also, the topic for discussion today, as you all might be aware, is about online MBAs. So, are they worth pursuing, or what is the value or what is the ROI of doing an online MBA? We will discuss various factors within this particular topic, and we will be following a Q&A format. And I mean, the things that we are going to discuss are, what are the features of an online MBA? How do they compare with a regular MBA? And what kind of career opportunities open up, once you do an MBA online. So I'm quite happy to introduce Rohan Gujarati for the same. He is a business leader, a career coach, and an educator. He has mentored many individuals through their MBA admissions journey, and he brings a global perspective to his guidance. Also, he has been an alumnus of BITS Pilani as well as University of Washington. So we will be, as we proceed with the discussion, just make sure that you have your questions answered. You can just post in your questions in the Q&A box, and we will take it up from there. Okay, so Rohan, let me first start with some of the questions that we wanted to cover in the session. So, the first question is that is an online MBA as valuable as a traditional MBA? That's one of the questions that people have usually in their minds.
Okay. So I first want to thank you, Niharika, for that kind introduction. Also, a slight correction there. It's Washington University in St. Louis that I graduated from, not University of Washington. So, but really appreciate the introduction. Thank you so much for that. Um, yeah, it's a very common question in terms of whether an online MBA is as valuable as a traditional MBA. And it's a very natural question to pop up in one's head also when thinking about pursuing an online MBA. I don't think there's a straightforward answer to that, but if we look at like the history of the online MBA, right? It goes back a long way, and we hear and talk about it a lot more in today's day and age. But it started back in 1987 with the Aspen University in Denver, Colorado, offering the first online MBA program ever. And uh, I think it started picking up pace in the 90s and the 2000s. And there was a huge surge in online MBA applications and online MBA enrollments from 2016 to 2021. And I think a lot of that was about, I think, an 85% upsurge in the number of enrollments. And I'm talking in the context of US right now. Because a lot of the programs at that point were being offered by US universities primarily. Um, I think the pandemic was also slightly, responsible in that surge happening, because when people were not able to go back to campus for the traditional MBA, universities were left with very little option but to make that shift to an online MBA program. So that kind of accelerated the transition of towards online MBAs, in my opinion. And then in 2021, US universities saw the enrollments in online MBAs overtake the total enrollments in traditional MBA programs. So, if we look at trends like these, we'll see that there is a certain degree of value that is being generated in the minds of the people that are pursuing the MBAs, And it's not to say that it's without reason. There's definitely value there in pursuing a degree like that. If we, however, look at like this from the Indian context, in 2021, there were close to very just under 5 lakh enrollments in offline or the traditional or regular MBA programs, and close to about 1.3, 1.4 lakh enrollments in the online MBA programs. Now, this was very low compared to what we were seeing in the US, where online and MBA enrollments had already overtaken offline MBA enrollments in 2021. But this number in India, the online enrollment number in India, grew by 170% in 2022. And this came very recently after AICTE approved online MBA as a valid degree, or recognized the online MBA as a valid degree in India as well. So, if you look at it from the perspective of trends, the perception in people's minds, there is definitely value in pursuing an online MBA for sure. Um, I'd say even industries, companies, recruiters have started giving enough weightage or value to online MBA programs as well. But is it more valuable or as valuable as a traditional MBA? I think this is for the person that's pursuing the MBA program to decide, because it depends on how they define value. One of the key differences that I see here is primarily the MBA experience that you get in an offline MBA, which lacks in an online MBA. And that experience could be anything in terms of, let's say, you enjoy being with a group of people that are say thought leaders, but on the other hand, they also like, as a class, as a group of friends, they like partying a lot. Right now, you'll miss out on stuff like that if you're doing an online MBA, which are things that you'll get to do in an offline MBA. Whether if you're pursuing an offline MBA, the experience that you're looking for is, say, getting an opportunity to work on a real-time project with a consulting firm in a group of 5 people, where you interact with them on a day-to-day basis. So things like those that I think are still not embedded in an online MBA program, but are part of the offline MBA program. So if that's important to you as an applicant, I'd say that's how you're defining value, right? And that then the decision of whether to do an online MBA or an offline MBA has to be based off of that. So I don't think it's a very straightforward answer, but if you look at trends, um, and online MBA is gaining value as a program, as a curriculum, as a degree in itself.
Okay. The next question that we come to is, what is the typical duration and flexibility of an online MBA? Are they like accredited programs? What is
Okay.
the take on that?
Okay. Um, so i- in terms of duration and flexibility, online MBAs definitely offer more flexibility compared to a traditional MBA or a regular MBA program. And it's one of the biggest reasons why people choose an online MBA also. But in terms of duration, there are different kinds of programs that you'll see with an online MBA programs or online business programs also, and those could be by the type of product that you're pursuing. So whether it's a certification course that you're going for, or if it's a full-fledged MBA degree that you're pursuing, right? Because a lot of universities such as Harvard and other bigger schools across the globe also offer smaller course curriculums within the business context, which may or may not typically be a full MBA curriculum or program. But there are certifications in different areas, and certifications could be as short as, say, 3 to 6 months. But if you're looking at the overall degree, degrees are again variable based on the university that's offering them. So some universities say offer degrees through 11-month online MBA program. Others might offer it through a, say, 24-month program, right? It's very similar to how the regular MBA works, and it varies from one university or one school to another. In terms of accreditation, I think it varies from school to school, from university to university. But in India, most online MBA programs, like I just said, have been recognized by the AICTE. So I don't think that's a concern anymore. But there's definitely something that one should look at when applying for the program is what are the other affiliations that the provider of that program has. So whether it's say an affiliation with another university or another school where there's like visiting faculty that's going to take a few courses, and stuff like that, right? So those affiliations also can go a long way.
Okay. Um, how does the curriculum of an online MBA differ from that of a traditional program?
I'd say it's very similar. I don't think there's too much difference in the structure of the curriculum or the program itself. And it's one of the things that a lot of people think about in terms of, if it's self-paced, it could just be very flexible in the sense of like there's not going to be any foundations or any confines within which you need to complete the program, right? And I think that's something that is not true in most cases. So like any regular MBA program, an online MBA program will have a start date, an end date. There'll be a very structured, well-established curriculum that also provides that's very similar to how the traditional MBA is structured, because a lot of the MBA programs that are being offered online are the degree is the same as the degree of a regular MBA program. So when you're getting the same degree, you have to study the same courses, whether it's HR, finance, marketing, what have you, right? And all of that is structured in a way where they're designed to build the foundations of different functions within business, so that candidates can get a holistic view, a holistic um, experience. They can develop their skills rather holistically in terms of how they can approach business management or business administration. And so for to that effect, I think they're very similarly structured, whether it's an online MBA or an offline MBA. Some online MBA programs actually even offer, pre-recorded lectures that students can look at. But there are others that even offer live classes, where and these live classes could be just for online MBA students, or these live classes could be actual offline MBA students in class, where those classes are being live streamed, just like our conversation right now, for example. And online MBA students can tune into those classes and just sit through the lecture and participate. So that's the degree to which universities are also going to make sure that there's no difference in the content or the curriculum that's being imparted to the students in the class.
Okay. It's just that maybe the classes are over the weekend or something. That's what usually the case is.
Some classes, yeah, but then for some of the universities, like I said, they do offer that option of tuning into live classes as well. But for the
Mm.
most part, they're over the weekends, because a lot of those candidates that are enrolled in these programs are working professionals. So that's one of the biggest reasons why classes are conducted over the weekends.
Okay. I think that sort of answers the next question also, that how does the format of an online MBA accommodate working professionals? Like
Mhm.
usually the classes
Okay.
are held over weekend. Anything else you would like to add on to this?
No, just the fact that an online MBA, like I said, it gives you the flexibility of self-paced learning. So, and working professionals like that, because at times your work dictates how your day goes. So, you don't necessarily have to do that. Also, the fact that you're able to study what someone in a regular MBA program is studying, you're able to get the same degree, the same credibility of studying from
Yeah.
that very institute. Those are things that are important when pursuing an online program. And I think that helps working professionals kind of um, avoid the opportunity cost of leaving their jobs and moving on to doing a full-time MBA or a regular MBA program, as we call it, where they'd have to put their careers, so to speak, or like their work life on hold for a couple of years or a year, whatever the program's duration is, and then go to the MBA program and come back. So it lets them continue their professional life, their working life, as well as do these programs, which would help them in upskilling and moving further in their career trajectories.
Okay. So the next point that we come to is what are the advantages and disadvantages if we have to really list them as
Mhm.
against a traditional MBA program?
Um, there's a few advantages. Disadvantages, like I said, are very minimal. I'll start with the advantages first, and some of these I've already spoken about. So one of the key advantages is the flexibility that comes with an online MBA, especially if you're a working professional, if you're a new mom, can't go back to work. These are things that the online MBA is a program that you can undertake and do whenever it's convenient to you because of the self-paced learning structure. The second one, which is a big factor for most people, is the cost, which then translates into the return on investment. Because traditional MBA programs nowadays, especially a lot of the good ones from top universities, whether in India or abroad, are very expensive. And if we just look at the cost of the program itself, the cost for an online MBA is somewhere between, I'd say, a quarter to a third of the cost of the regular program, and that's a big saving on the part of the person that's enrolling into the program. And this is to say when you're able to pay out of pocket. If you're not, and if you have to go take a loan, then there's the added burden of the loan, the interest of the loan, and all of those things. So you're saving that much on cost as well. The other factor that comes in when it comes to cost is the opportunity cost that I just spoke about, where somebody who's 3 4 years into their work life or 5 years in their work life is having to leave that and then go and pursue an MBA program. So they have to forego the salary that they would otherwise make. Um, they would otherwise make. So those are a couple of things that I think are advantages in terms of that. And I say I'll just go through the advantages once and then come back to what I was about to point out. So the other one is the credibility of the program. If it's from a reputed institute or reputed university, I think the credibility comes with the university and the degree that's being offered. So that's not something one should worry about either. It's the same as you would get in an offline MBA program. The curriculum, like we said, is very similar. So these are a few things. You also get the advantage of studying with a group of peers that are like-minded in terms of where they're headed in their careers, but also diverse because an online MBA definitely provides the opportunity for greater diversity as well. Because not everybody that could uh, be a part of an offline MBA program gets to be a part of that program because there's limited seats there that way. So those are definitely a few things that an online MBA would offer in terms of advantages. Like I said, one of the greatest disadvantages that I see, and this is from my personal experience, is that I thoroughly enjoyed my MBA experience. And it was something that I always looked forward to. So when I was applying for B schools, there was always the question of whether and online MBAs weren't a big thing back in the day. This was in 2016. So I think I always would question on whether I should do a 1 year MBA program versus a 2 year MBA program. And I kept going back to the 2 year MBA program because in my head this was something I was only going to do once, and I wanted to kind of squeeze everything out of those 2 years as I could, and not come back and say that, hey, had I gotten another year, I maybe would have done this or done that. And the overall experience of living on campus, experiencing that life, being able to interact with professors on a regular basis, building the network that I was able to. These are some things that I thought were very valuable from the overall MBA experience that I gained. And that I think is a big miss in my regard on the online MBA experience. And miss in terms of the way the programs are structured. If somebody wants to do it, they can still do it. So it's not like you don't have the opportunity, but the structure doesn't make it very seamless or very easy for somebody to be able to gain these advantages. And A few other things I think are also so soft skill development. So when you're sitting and listening to a course online, it's kind of a one-way transaction. While when you're interacting with people in a group, when you're interacting with professors, there's also that subconscious soft skill development that's happening, which I think also is slightly missing from an online MBA program. So these are, I think, a couple of disadvantages that I see, and some that are very important in terms of the overall development that you would expect through an MBA program.
Yeah, I was actually about to ask you that, but you sort of elaborated it yourself that if is there something that someone misses out when they have an online when they're doing an online MBA rather than an offline experience, because of course there is the campus environment, there is the interaction with your peers and with professors and whole campus life that you talked about. So I was actually
Right.
about to ask you that. So nice of
And
you to huh.
sorry, I was just about to say, Niharika, peer learning is a big part of the overall experience. And not again,
Yeah.
not to say that online MBA doesn't give you the opportunity to work with peers. There are group assignments in an online MBA also where you have to collaborate with your peers and work on stuff. But I just think, again, sitting in a class, listening to other people's perspectives, especially when these people are have already proven themselves to be leaders in their respective fields, and they're now coming in with different kinds of perspectives, different kinds of backgrounds. Just hearing them speak about their outlook on things is very enriching in itself, and the kind of collaboration that you have is also very different. I'd actually go to the extent of saying that when in an online MBA program, even if it's a group assignment, the collaboration um, inherently is, I think, with the expectation to finish the task. But in an offline MBA, from my experience, it's more about getting what you can from the interaction that's happening, and the completion of the task being just like a byproduct or an outcome of everyone spending time together. So I think that's one big difference.
Yeah, there is. I mean, there is because MBAs usually have a lot of group collaborations, like projects. You have to do projects with your peers, and that you sort of get to learn from one another in that in an offline experience more. I guess I don't know. That's what I was, sort of wanting your opinion on that. There are some questions. So not exactly questions, but yeah, I mean, if you can touch a little bit more upon the relevance of an online MBA, which really means that I guess what we've got on chat is that online, it does that hold the same value as a regular MBA? So when you go out into the industry, does it hold the same value as compared to a regular MBA, a traditional offline MBA?
Yeah, it does. And like I said
Okay.
earlier, also in my in one of the questions that you asked, Niharika, recruiters and employers are also increasingly understanding the value of online MBA, and
Okay. Yeah.
trends are now changing towards online MBAs being more acceptable in the industry, equally respected, equally reputed as an offline MBA. So there's very little, because the universities are offering these programs and these degrees, they don't differentiate between these either, right? Like I said, it's the same program, it's the same curriculum, the same faculty for the most part. So when none of that is different, why should anything else be different?
Okay. Another question that we have is a comparison to an executive PGDM.
Okay,
Executive
so
MBA is the
right.
1 year MBA is, huh.
So an online MBA, I think, is a very open program in terms of there's the different universities have different restrictions. So some would have like a minimum 2 year eligibility or a 3 year eligibility or what have you. Executive MBAs are very categorically defined for people with anywhere between 5 to 10 or more years of experience. It's also kind of a leadership training program that you're going through when you're doing an executive MBA. So I would say, if you've gained enough experience in your professional career, where you want to move up the ladder into a very senior executive sort of a role, that's the point where you consider doing an executive MBA, which will and again, it's tailored for working professionals also, but the online MBA is still a regular. It's the same difference that an offline MBA would have with with an executive MBA, honestly. So that's kind of yeah.
Okay. Huh. Uh, what are some of the best institutes for online MBA? Uh, the national reputation, or maybe some of the institutes that we should prefer when we are going for an online
I'd say don't think of it as what is the best institute for an online MBA. A lot of the top institutes in the country and the world have started offering online MBA programs. My recommendation would be to think of the institute that you're applying to rather than the institute for online MBA. So let's not drill it down to that level of granularity, because what happens is that at the end of the day, even if you do an online MBA from an institute which, let's say, where the online MBA is not ranked as highly as some other institutes online MBA, right? You're still getting access to the best institute. You're getting access to the best faculty, because, like I said, the offline MBA and online MBA faculties are same for a lot of institutes, and especially for the top institutes. You're getting access to those. You're getting access to a peer group and an alumni base that's already out there in the industry and has a proven track record. So let's say I do an online MBA from XLRI. Now, all I need to do in reaching out to somebody or trying to network in my career 3 years or 4 years down the line is say, "Hey, I'm an XLRI alum," right? And they're not going to ask me whether I did an online MBA or an offline MBA. So when you are able to establish that level of connection, it helps you in whatever you're trying to pursue, whatever your endeavor is. But doing it from the institute that gives you greater opportunities should be the ideal goal.
MBA? I see. What is the global acceptance of an online MBA?
Is that the same question as whether employers or recruiters are more open to it? I'm
Yeah,
not
I'm
sure what
getting
that
an
question means.
those are actually, these are some questions that we've got in the chat box. So
Okay.
global acceptance in the sense, I mean, if are these MBAs or an online MBA degree going to be, globally accepted if someone goes out of the country? So just or is it going to be the same as doing an online or offline MBA from the same institution?
From a degree standpoint, it's exactly the same. It doesn't matter.
It's exactly the same.
Yeah, it's exactly the same. So whether it's online or offline, but
Mhm.
like I said, the world is increasingly seeing a trend in the number of students that are pursuing an online MBA, and that's automatically feeding into the overall acceptance of the online MBA degree also.
Okay. There's also one question on our YouTube chat, but I think you have more or less answered because the question is that you talked about the value being subjective to students, hence it may vary. Does industry see value in an online MBA graduate for jobs? So I think you have more or less answered that whether the industry sees value in an online MBA graduate.
It does,
So,
and
huh.
yeah, for the benefit of the person who may have asked that if they weren't there earlier, but I'd say it does see value. And like I said, right now again, um, it's kind of a push pull strategy also. So the more the top schools push the online MBA, the greater the acceptance will happen. And as more and more employers start accepting online MBA programs, greater number of universities are going to start offering online MBA programs. So it will eventually come into a circle. In no way do I see the online MBA diminishing the value of an offline MBA in the foreseeable future. But the overall repute and the recognition of online MBA programs is definitely going to go up
Okay.
as we move forward.
Uh, Okay, there is one more question. Actually, this is one question that I also have in my mind. Because what happens is that there is a lot of options when it comes to online MBAs. So you
Mm.
see a lot of these e-learning platforms also offering, in collaboration with a university and then offering an online MBA. I mean, what I wanted to ask is that how do you choose from this? From so many options, what are there any particular factors that one needs to consider before they come to make a decision and make a
Sure.
decision to invest that much time and money into an online MBA? So that's what I wanted to understand from you, if you have any perspective on that.
Sure. So there's a few factors that one should keep in mind when choosing an MBA program, and this is something you would do for any MBA program. Let's
Right.
first kill the distinction between an online and offline MBA program. Like we've already established, right? The credibility between both is same. The curriculum is fairly similar. Even if you talk about the level of difficulty, right? Again, because the curriculum is so similar, the level of difficulty is similar. The structure is very similar in terms of group assignments, self-learning, whatever the program entails. So let's first kill that distinction, and then now let's talk about how would you go after deciding where to get an MBA from. Now, a few factors when choosing the university that you want to do an MBA from are: what is the reputation of the university? What is the type of faculty that you'll get access to? What is the kind of placement history, if that's something you're interested in? That I'll come to that later again. Then what is the alumni base of that university? What kind of networking opportunities will I get now and in the future? And yeah, so those are some of the things that I would consider. I Yeah. So one thing that I think we should look at when choosing an online MBA program, though, is whether there are live classes that are available with our MBA program or not, because live classes do make a difference in learning compared to just like pre-recorded sessions. So even if there are uh, partial sessions or partial lectures that the program offers in terms of live classes, I think that adds a great deal of a lot more credibility to the program also, and a great deal of advantage in terms of an online MBA candidate getting an offline MBA experience. So I think that's another factor to consider. But other than that, those are some of the things that we should consider when choosing our program. And the one thing that I spoke about when I talked about placements, I said I'll come back to that. That was primarily because most people that pursue the online MBA are working professionals. So placements may or may not be a very important factor in their consideration, because let's say I'm already in a job, I don't wish to switch anywhere, but I do want to upskill, which is why I'm doing the online MBA. So it doesn't matter whether placements are the way I would expect them to be in an offline MBA program. Uh, but other than that, I think everything else is pretty much same.
Okay, any just to sort of lastly discuss the career opportunities after an online MBA.
Mm.
Any difference from offline medium, or any kind of new opportunities also that might open up in online MBAs? Any take on that? That what are the kind of opportunities that open up?
Okay. So, with respect to opportunity, I'll come to that also in terms of careers. But I do want to elaborate on one of the things that I said earlier, which is, the online MBA program that we were talking about, and how do we choose that. So there is, if we're looking at global programs, US News or Fortune rankings, these are some of the rankings that are globally respected and known. And one can take a look at those in terms, and specifically for an online MBA program, if they're looking to get some information on which are the good online MBA programs, if they don't want to go with, just the offline MBA program rankings. So that's that. Coming to careers, I think, like I said, with the degree that a candidate is pursuing, that a student is pursuing, the degree offers the same opportunities that an offline MBA degree would offer. So there's not much in the way of career opportunities that will come if you're in terms of there won't be any hindrance in terms of career opportunities. But because the program itself isn't designed to uh, provide a lot of support and help for jobs or placements, it the onus of um, the next step in your career post MBA lies with the student themselves. Whereas when you look at an offline or a traditional MBA program, there's a placement cell, there's a placement unit, and they're heavily focused on making sure that students get placed. And again, the reason for this is not that online MBA degrees have any less importance compared to an offline MBA degree, but because majority of the people already are working and are not worried about or considering moving their jobs, placement doesn't become a very important factor in the overall structure of the program. So that's one big difference. But in terms of finding opportunities, the whatever help you can get from the school or the university, that's definitely there. Other than that, I think again, looking at your alumni network or your peer network would definitely help. Which is why I keep going back to the fact that the university or the school would matter more than just the online MBA ranking of that program.
Uh, okay, that brings us to the end of this session. I don't think we have any more questions. The questions that were there, we have already taken them up. Thank you so much, Rohan, for taking out the time for sharing your insights with us. Thank you so much to the attendees who joined today, and also thanks for the questions. So yeah, I mean that brings us to the end of the session. I can just quickly launch a feedback poll if if people can just whoever is present can just let us know if the session was useful and all. And thank you so much once again, Rohan, for taking up the time.
Thank you very much, Niharika. I'm very happy to have been given this opportunity. Um, I love
Pleasure is all
talking.
ours. Yeah.
Thank you. No, I love talking about MBA admissions. I love helping people out with their MBA journeys, and this has been a great platform for me to reach more people. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.